What is up, guys? Janicki back here with another video. So today I'm going to be sharing with you 10 hacks to perfect your lifting form. Before getting into that, please go hit that subscribe button. It's free to you. But without further ado, let's get into this video. Alright, so before I hop into my 10 hacks for perfect form, I wanted to go into why this is so important and why trainers such as myself harp on form so frequently. And there's 3 reasons. So the first one is results. If you do not perform the exercise with proper form, you're not going to get the results you're looking for. If you're rolling your shoulders forward on a fly, you're not going to get the chest contraction. There's so many examples of this, but you're just not going to get the results you're looking for physique-wise, performance-wise. The second reason is obviously health, maintaining your health. If you're going to do a squat with a rounded back, if you're going to deadlifts with rounded back, you're much more apt to injury. So this is so important and so imperative to have really good posture and form when performing your exercises. And the third thing is ergonomics. So if you perform your exercises in a certain way where you're rounding the shoulders, how do you think you're gonna walk around? If I perform my back exercises here, my chest exercise here, I'm gonna walk around like this. If I perform everything here, I'm gonna walk, you've seen people like kind of walking around like hunched shoulders like this. That's the reason for it, because that's where they're performing their exercises like that. They're not focusing on mobility work. And even if you're putting on muscle, it's not gonna look good because you're not presenting it in the right way. So those are my 3 reasons. So let's get into these 10 hacks. All right, hack 1 is the easiest and you always wanna be thinking about is just practicing good posture. So I remember when you see the movies where the nuns are hitting the kids for like slouching in their chairs. That is exactly what I want you to think about. So you always wanna have your shoulders back arched, chest open. That's how I want to see it. I know it looks stupid for me because I've got my arms on top of my lats and it's like the bodybuilder walking through a door thing. It's really important to be upright, have the chin up, shoulders back, and arch back. And you want to perform this in almost every exercises, with the exception of like a few where you're actually going to tuck your pelvis like a downward dog or like an ab rollout. But for the most part, like if you're doing like a fly, chest press, bench press, anything that you're doing, a shoulder raise, you want to have that, maintain that really good posture. So that is my first form cue for you guys. All right, so the second one is something I see all the time. Do not roll your shoulders forward on any exercise, especially on chest. So I see it all the time when people are doing flies and it's too heavy for them and they'll roll over like this. You're gonna lose all contraction. Your chest is gonna go all in your shoulders. When you're performing any fly movement or any chest movement, you wanna be here, hand with the shoulders down and back. Same thing with like, let's say an arm moving, let's say a tricep push down. I see people doing this a lot. You wanna be here and keep that shoulder down and back. It's gonna help you keep the contraction in the muscle that you wanna have it in. And it's very, very important also for longevity and safety of the movement. All right, guys, third one is something I see a lot too. It's about maintaining strong wrists in your movement. So no rolling the wrist around during your, like, let's say curls is the most common thing I see it on. So people will come here and at the end of the rep, they'll roll it up. And then as they start going down, they'll let the wrists go and they'll be in this position. Always maintain strong wrists and kind of keep a straight line. Vectors of force here, here, here. And that will allow you to keep the contraction where you want it and out of your form and not risk injuring some of these smaller tendons right here that connect down through your wrists and into your hands. So really imperative, keep those nice strong wrists. Even if you're gonna go supinated or pronated here, you wanna be still here. Nice strong wrists if you're doing a forearm kind of curl here. Keep it nice and strong on the down. All right, guys, so this is a mistake that I've made so many times in the past and I've realized it now. When you're doing curls or any type of arm movement, you want to pin your elbows to your side. So you never want to have your elbows move away from where the starting and ending point should be pretty much the same, with maybe a slight kind of rotation with the elbow. But a lot of times when I see people curling, they're here. You're gonna lose all the contraction in your biceps if you don't keep the elbow down. It's gonna start turning into a front raise like this. I think this is something that I've done myself, so don't feel bad if you're doing it still here. Just make sure you keep those elbows down and back. If you're doing, let's say, a preacher curl or a standing barbell curl, keep it right here. Good squeeze, slowing it down. Keep those elbows nice and back. Same thing for tricep push down, elbows back, keep it down and back, all the way through the movement. All right, so the 5th hack I have is do not shrug your shoulders unless you're doing dumbbell or barbell shrugs. Other than those exercises, you don't ever want to be shrugging your shoulders up. When you're doing a curl, you don't want to shrug up here. If you're doing a fly, you don't want to shrug here. Keep those shoulders down and back and nice and relaxed. That's going to help you keep from straining in your neck. It's really important to keep that posturally down. So if you start to take it here, first of all, with the shoulder movement, you're going to take, if you're going to be trying to hit delts, you're going to take everything in the traps. If you start to raise your shoulder up to your ear, you're going to get a lot of activation in the trap. So you just want to be here nice and easy, keeping those shoulders down and back. For any chest movement, back movement especially, I'll see people if they're doing a row, come here, keep it down and back always. It's gonna get a better contraction, it's gonna be safer for your body overall. All right guys, so the next one I have is neutral chin. So I always want you guys to kind of like pick a spot in the distance and utilize that to kind of make sure that your head's not tucking or going super high up. Just because if like, let's say we're doing a fly, I want you to be right here opposed to here, because then you'll be more apt to shrug your shoulders, or up, and then you're gonna be more apt to strain in the back. So just always keep a neutral head if you're squatting. Wanna make sure you're looking straight ahead. Don't wanna be looking at the floor, don't wanna be looking at the ceiling. And that's gonna be really important also for just that neck health, neck longevity. Number 7, guys, what we're gonna do is keep our chest open during leg movements. I know it sounds weird when I'm talking about legs to talk about my chest, but when I say chest open, it's that same postural principle that I was talking about earlier. If I collapse my chest, I'm usually gonna arch my lower back. So if you can focus on keeping your chest open when you're doing a back move, let's say a squat, it's gonna help you to make sure that you keep the lower back arched as well, because if your chest rounds, it's easier for your lower back to round. But if your chest stays open, usually your lower back is gonna also stay flat or rounded, which is what we wanna see for a squat or a deadlift. So just always focus on that. Like if you're setting for a deadlift, make sure that chest is nice and open, and then drive through the heels. And that will really, really help keep the pressure out of your lower back. All right guys, number 8 is I want you to see you on your heels for the most part during your leg movements. So the reason for that is that's where you're gonna derive all your power. Your heel is right under, it's directly under, your ankle is directly under your knee, whereas your toes are out here. So we wanna have that vector of force right through that heel. That's where your power center is gonna be. So unless you're doing like an explosive movement or sprinting or doing calf raises, for example, like you always wanna be on your heels for those movements. That's why all coaches will look at your feet and see if you're coming up on your toes on, let's say, a squat, deadlift, any like, or a lunge, something of that nature, because you always want your power source to be through those heels. And you're usually front loading if you're going through those toes. You're not engaging your posterior chain, meaning your hamstrings, your glutes, lower back. You wanna make sure you stay back on those movements and then stay on those heels, which will really help you develop your legs in a fuller capacity. All right, another one I see a lot is knees passing over your toes. If you're doing a lunge, especially, you don't want your knee to pass in front of your toe. So if, let's say this is your knee bend right here, you don't want this, if this is your toe, to be in front of it, because that's what's gonna put a lot of pressure on your knee joint, specifically the tendons running through the front of your knee. So what you wanna do is keep that stride length longer, especially if you're doing a static lunge with weights. You wanna make sure that stride length is nice and long. It'll help keep the movement in the glutes, and it'll help alleviate pressure on that front knee in the movement. All right guys, number 10 is last but not least. It's something I see a lot as well. If you want to squat deep, you have to work on your hip mobility. You can't just decide one day, okay, I want to squat ass to the grass and not have the mobility to back it up, because what's going to happen is when you get to the bottom rep, you're going to go down, 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 back's going to be flat. When you get to the bottom, you're not going to have the hip mobility to keep that posture, and you're gonna start rounding that lower back. Work on your hip mobility and take it down to a comfortable level before you start to notice that back start to what's called wink. Take a camera, set it up when you're doing your squats, and if you see your back round at the very bottom of your rep, you'll see it called winking, and your butt will kind of pop back. That's really something we want to avoid. It's going to put a lot of pressure on your lower vertebrae, and that's something that can lead to a lot of injury, especially when you get stronger. And you want to train correctly while you're doing lighter, so that when you go up in weight, the form is already there. So work on the hip mobility, work on working to that range of motion, that depth with lighter weight. Record your videos, record yourself, and make sure you're not doing that, because it will save you a lot of trouble in the long run with surgeries and vertebrae issues. So that's one of the ones I want to end with, because it's so very important. But hope you guys love this video. Remember to go subscribe to the page if you're loving this fitness content. Without further ado, I'll see you in the next video.